I'm Aaron from PhoneDog.com, and part 2 of the One VX versus Discover Dogfight battle starts in just a second. But first, got to give some love to our partners at Best Buy Mobile for giving us devices like this that we give to you for free, $0 on PhoneDog, thanks to the Instant Win game. When you walk into Best Buy Mobile, you'll walk out working. Whether you get either one of these, bam, bam, you'll walk out working. They'll get your email, your web, your contacts set up, so when you walk out the door, you're good to go. Let's see which one is the ultimate Android device, at least between these two. It's part 2 of a dogfight battle, and it starts right now. It's part 2 of a dogfight review between two devices that are priced the same on AT&T, at least right now, but offer some pretty different specifications. It's kind of that eternal battle with, do you go with the manufacturer that's been around for a while and it's kind of a low high-end device to a high mid-range device, or do you go with the Discover? Pantech, of course, hasn't had a huge amount of experience in the high-end smartphone realm, but they've released a device with some really nice specifications, and considering it's $49, $50 if you will, it's really something to look at. Do you go with the newcomer that's $50, or do you go with the established that has slightly less specs, but you know what, it's $50 as well? Let's find out in part 2 of the dogfight. Let's jump right in and take a look at speed test to start out in part 2, because I want to take a look at network connectivity. Both of these are 4G LTE devices on AT&T, and it's surprisingly hard to move this when these are laying flat on the desk. We're going to go ahead and back out of that. Let's go through here and go to speed test. We'll run both of these on a Dallas server. Now, AT&T is incredibly fast, as you would expect in the Dallas Metroplex, because Dallas is a strong market for AT&T. They're actually based here. So I've seen speeds between 20 and 35 megabits per second. Sometimes they're as slow as what you're seeing right now, 6 to 9 megabits per second on the download. Really, they fluctuate. It's not like Verizon, where Verizon says you're guaranteed X to X megabits per second. That said, I found that in most markets, not all markets, but most markets, because AT&T's LTE network is still so young in comparison to Verizon's, the download and upload speeds are very fast in comparison to Verizon. So yeah, Verizon's got a huge LTE network that's rolling out to more and more cities every day, and they're almost complete with their rollout. But you know, it's a little bit more saturated just because it's been out for a while. I expect that to happen to AT&T in due time, but right now, still pretty fast speeds. I'm looking at a download speed over here of 7.73 megabits per second, 10.93 over on this device, upload 6.18, 9.52. So very fast across the board, and I've seen speeds that are much faster, particularly in my area. I actually live in the uptown area and find that the speeds are incredibly fast down there as well. Like I said, regularly seeing 20 to 35 megabits per second. Now, specs-wise, CPU, dual-core processors on both of these devices, 1.2 gigahertz here, 1.5 gigahertz here, Snapdragon S4 CPU. So the clock speed, within reason, but it is a little bit faster over on the Discover. I find that both of these devices are relatively fast in day-to-day performance. There's no real lag. I mean, both Sense and Pantech's user interface are obviously a little bit more laggy than compared to stock Android and Motorola's UI, and actually I would argue TouchWiz as well. I think TouchWiz is really integrated well with Android, particularly Android 4.1 and above. But that said, there's a little bit of lag from time to time. Nothing that I can't handle, and I don't think you could worry about either. But I will say I found the Discover to be slightly faster in most day-to-day tasks, though Sense is obviously more evolved and has better features. So we'll see which one comes out on top. 1810 milliamp hour battery, 2100 milliamp hour battery over here. They both perform about the same, honestly, with moderate use. I've gotten about 11 hours out of this one, 11 to 13 out of this. I get about 12 to 13 out of this one. Totally depends on your use case. That said, I find them to be roughly the same. So 5,233 over here, 5,485 over here. So quadrant standard winner goes to the Pantech Discover. I also want to show you a video on the Discover just to take advantage of that 720p HD display. So we'll go to videos here and give you an idea of what it looks like. So Hot Chocolate Smile, it's actually a cute little video. And you can hear those stereo speakers, really nice stereo speakers, HD display. And it really gives a clean image, and again, keeping in mind this is $49, it's pretty impressive. London Time Lapse is another impressive one. And you got the speakers on the side. This is at full volume, I should say. And it's nice and loud, so you're going to be able to watch movies on this device and take advantage of that HD display and the stereo speakers. Now, conversely, this one has Beats audio over here, so if you have Beats headphones and you listen to music on a regular basis, this could be an ultimate device for you. They don't come out of the box, but you can purchase iBeats for as cheap as $99 and use those, so that is a nice feature, thanks to HTC and their Beats partnership. Let's take a look also at camera. 5 megapixel camera over here, 12.6 megapixel camera over here. As we all know, the megapixel count doesn't determine everything. And I actually like this one because it does have HTC's Image Sense chip, which I'll show you in just a second. We'll bring over a flip cover. Actually, I'll bring over the One X Plus because this is what I'm using as my personal device as part of the 30-day challenge. Come over here, wait for it to focus in. It's noticeably less in terms of quality than the One X Plus, the Droid DNA, and all of HTC's 8 megapixel options, not to mention the Note 2, the Galaxy S3, the iPhone 5, and more. That said, I do like the abilities. We'll come in here and turn the ringtone up. Love the image sense capability. So let's say you're at a soccer game or a football game, you want to take a bunch of pictures, you can keep moving those around, save those photos, you can choose the best one. Love that ability, and you can take advantage of image sense that way. And then of course you can do the same thing when you're recording video. You can delete those or choose the best one. I can start recording video right now and take stills, and you'll see them pop up in the lower right hand corner as I take the images. That said, 5 megapixel camera, like I said, noticeably different than the 8 megapixel options out there. This one, 12.6 megapixel sensor. I find the image quality to be overall relatively decent. It's not the best in the world. I would still give the edge, honestly, to the iPhone 5, the Galaxy S3, the Galaxy Note 2, and the One X Plus / Droid DNA, because I do find the image to be overall a little bit better on those. But let's take a look. And so it takes relatively quick pictures as well. And you've got some editing options over here. We can go into normal, HDR. I can switch the modes around as I see fit. And then, of course, my full editing choices over here, including mode, effects, settings, and more. So not an official camera test by any means, but just giving you a rough comparison over a dogfight video. I'd give the slight edge in terms of features to this little bad boy, the One VX. Whereas over here, 12.6 megapixel shooter, going to be fine for casual pictures. I would still say it's kind of a wash between image quality on both of these devices, but with the image sense chip, I find this one to be particularly useful. That said, we'll take a look at the phone applications as well, and pardon me while I pull these away to make sure that there aren't any phone numbers in these. You can see Pantech's user interface over here, and then you can see HTC's user interface. Never been a fan of HTC's interface when it comes to the phone application. It frustrates me how favorites and contacts and missed calls, will dial 611, for example, will end the call. I don't like how it kind of jumbles all of this stuff together, because it brings together your missed calls and your frequent calls and your contacts and all this stuff. So you kind of look and you're like, you just got this cluster of contacts right here, and you're like, what in the world? What's happening? What I do like, though, is easy access to the contacts, and of course you got the shortcut button over here as well. But what I like is the personal information management over here on HTC. Go to customer care, for example. Let's pretend like I'm good friends with AT&T customer care. Well, I can come in here to the thread and see when we last text messaged, when I last called them, when they last emailed me, although it doesn't work with Gmail. So if you have Gmail set up, it won't work. But if you have anything set up in a regular email account, the API does work for that. Updates, and then of course gallery as well. So I can come in here and say, okay, I've got my best friend, whoever, Steven. I'm going to go to the thread and see when I called Steven. I actually don't have a friend named Steven. I don't know why I made up that name. But when did I call him? When did I text him? When did I email him? And I can get all that in one place. Over here you got Alexa Stevenson. Kind of a similar setup in some ways. You've got your mobile number and things like that. But then let me go into one, not groups. Let me go into John Rogers, for example. And you can see there's my my log, my call log, my messaging, and more. So you've got kind of a watered down version of that over on the Pantech Discover. It's a tough call. It's a dogfight battle. The winner of the dogfight battle, honestly, when it comes to all-around features, specs, and more, it's a tough one. But it goes to the Pantech Discover. I really like the One VX. I think there's place in the market for it. I really like the price point. But that said, you really can't ignore the features of the Discover. Pantech's UI, you may love it, you may hate it, but I do love some of the little customizable features like the movable area down here with your applications and more. So it goes at a slight edge, a slight win to the Discover. The One VX is a great device as well, but keep that in mind when you're making your purchase. I think the fact that it comes with a great camera, it comes with a fast processor, it comes with an HD display and stereo speakers for $50, you can't beat it. Keep it locked on PhoneDog.com for continuing coverage of both of these devices. Hit me up on Twitter. Let me know what you think at PhoneDog_Aaron. Facebook, Facebook.com/HiAaronBaker. And then, of course, on the company's Google Plus page, gplus.to/PhoneDog. Thanks so much for watching, and as always, we'll see you next time.